Today we're going to talk about personal fall protection systems. Now, we use personal fall protection systems, that is harnesses, SRLs or yo-yos, lanyards, that sort of thing all the time. And if we're going to follow the manufacturer's recommendations and really OSHA's regulations as well, we need to examine or inspect those personal fall arrest systems each time before use. So in order to do that, we need to understand how to look at them, how to inspect them properly so we're looking for the right things. If a harness is not in good shape, you can be putting your life in a very risky situation. So it's important to inspect your fall protection gear before each use. You want to always follow the recommendations of the manufacturer of your gear. And here's some things to look for. First, begin by holding the harness up by the D-ring. Bend the straps in an inverted U. Watch for frayed edges, broken fibers, pulled stitches, cuts, chemical damage. Check your D-rings and the D-ring metal wear pads for distortion or cracks or breaks, rough or sharp edges. The D-ring bar should be at a 90-degree angle with the long axis of the belt. It should pivot freely. It shouldn't be inhibited in any way. Then the attachments of buckles and D-rings, you should give some special attention to those. Note any unusual wear, frayed or cut fibers or distortion of the buckles. Your rivets should be tight and unmovable with fingers. They shouldn't rotate at all or be free at all. The body side rivet base and the outside rivets should be flat against the material. Bent rivets will fail under stress. So if you have bent rivets, that is something that you need to address and make sure that that gets taken out of service. Inspect frayed or broken strands. Broken webbing strands generally appear as tufts on the webbing surface. Any broken cut or burned stitches will be easy to see. The tongue buckle. Buckle tongues should be free of distortion in shape and motion. They should overlap the belt frame, or the buckle frame rather, and they should move freely back and forth in their socket. Rollers should turn freely on the frame. Check for distortion, check for sharp edges. If you have a friction buckle on your harness, inspect that buckle for distortion. The outer bar or the center must be straight. Pay attention to corners and attachment points of the center bar. Now then, when it comes to lanyards, we're going to talk about lanyards a little bit. When you're inspecting lanyards, begin at one end and work to the opposite end. Slowly rotate the lanyard so that the entire circumference is checked. Spliced ends require particular attention. Snap hooks, inspect closely for hook and eye distortion, for cracks or corrosion or pitted surfaces. The keeper or the latch also should seat into the nose without binding and shouldn't be distorted or obstructed. The keeper spring should exercise sufficient force to firmly close the keeper. So if you open it up and then you let go of it, it should shut itself. The closing and the locking mechanism should move freely without sticking or jamming. While bending webbing over a piece of pipe, you can observe each side of the web lanyard. This will reveal any cuts or breaks. The outer portion of the shock absorbing pack should be examined for burn holes and tears. The stitching on the areas where the pack is sewn to the D-ring, the belt or the lanyard should also be examined for loose strands, rips, and deterioration. These are just a few points that I want to pass on to you so that you can examine your harnesses carefully every time before use and make sure your personal fall arrest system is in shape every time you use it to keep you from coming to harm should you go off the iron.